The colony ship moved slowly through the dark space between stars. It was not a warship. It was not fast. It carried 3,000 humans who wanted to build a new home on a distant world. Commander Yuna stood on the bridge and watched the stars through the main window. She was a small woman with tired eyes and gray hair. She had been flying ships for 30 years, and this was supposed to be her last mission before retirement. "Commander," said her communications officer, a young man named June. "We are receiving a signal. It is not human." Yuna turned and looked at the screen. Strange symbols appeared. And then the ship's computer translated them into human words. The message was simple and terrible. "Attention, unknown vessel. You have entered the space of the Veloxi Empire. You will stop your engines and prepare to be captured. Your crew will become slaves. Your ship will become property of the Empire. If you do not obey, you will be destroyed. You have 1 hour to answer." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone looked at Yuna. She could see fear in their eyes. The Veloxi were known throughout the galaxy. They had conquered 12 star systems. They had destroyed entire species. They kept millions of slaves from dozens of worlds. No one fought the Veloxi and lived. Yuna walked slowly to her chair and sat down. She looked at the message again. Then she looked at her crew. These were good people. Engineers, doctors, teachers, farmers. They were not soldiers. They had children sleeping in the lower decks. They had dreams of building houses and growing food on a new world. "Show me their ships," Yuna said quietly. The screen changed. 5 Veloxi warships surrounded them. They were huge and covered with weapons. Each one was 10 times bigger than the colony ship. Yuna counted the guns. She counted the missile tubes. She did the math in her head. If those ships fired, her people would die in less than 3 minutes. "Commander," June said. His voice was shaking. "What do we do?" Yuna thought about her life. She thought about her daughter back on Earth, who was pregnant with her first child. She thought about the colonists below, who had sold everything they owned to buy tickets on this ship. She thought about all the species the Veloxi had destroyed, all the worlds they had burned, all the children they had taken as slaves, and something inside her became very cold and very hard. "Open a channel," she said. "Channel open, Commander." Yuna stood up. She straightened her uniform. She looked directly at the screen and spoke one word. "No." Then she sat back down. The bridge crew stared at her. June's mouth was open. The navigation officer, a woman named Sumi, grabbed the edge of her console like she might fall down. "Commander," Sumi whispered, "did you just refuse the Veloxi Empire?" "Yes," Yuna said. "I did. But they will kill us all." "Maybe," Yuna said. "But I will not give them my people. I will not let them take our children as slaves. I will not bow to monsters." She pressed a button on her chair. Her voice went to every part of the ship. "Attention, all colonists. This is Commander Yuna. We have been contacted by the Veloxi Empire. They want us to surrender. They want to make us slaves. I have told them no. In a few minutes, they will probably attack us. I want you to know that I am sorry. This is not the future I wanted for you. But I believe that dying free is better than living as slaves. If anyone disagrees, if anyone wants to surrender, tell me now. I will listen." She waited. The ship was silent. Then, one by one, voices came through the speaker. "We stand with you, Commander. No surrender. Better dead than slaves. Fight them." Yuna felt tears in her eyes, but she did not let them fall. She turned to her crew. "June, send a message to Earth. Tell them what happened here. Tell them the Veloxi attacked a peaceful colony ship. Tell them we did not surrender." "Yes, Commander." "Sumi, find me anything on this ship we can use as a weapon. Mining lasers, fuel pods, anything." "Yes, Commander." Far away, on the largest Veloxi warship, High Commander Drex watched the human response with confusion. He was a tall creature with 4 arms and scales like a snake. He had conquered 20 worlds. He had never seen anyone refuse the Empire. "They said no?" he asked his officers. "Yes, High Commander. Just one word. No, Drex did not understand. The human ship was tiny and weak. It had no weapons. It was full of families and children. Why would they choose death? Perhaps they do not understand the situation, Drex said. Send the message again. Make sure the translator is working correctly. They sent the message again. This time, the human commander sent a longer response. This is Commander Yuna of the Earth colony ship Hope's Light. We are not soldiers. We are farmers and teachers and doctors. We left our home to build a new world where our children could grow up in peace. We did not come here looking for war, but if you want war, we will give you war. Not today, because today you are stronger. But Earth will hear what you did here. Earth will send ships. Earth will send soldiers. And you will learn something that the galaxy has forgotten. Humans do not make good slaves. Humans do not surrender. Humans do not forgive. Congratulations. You just declared war on the most merciless species in the galaxy. You just do not know it yet. Drex listened to the message 3 times. Then he laughed. His officers laughed with him. Merciless, Drex said. We have conquered 12 star systems. We have destroyed the Corvan Empire and the Zelth Federation. What are humans? Small creatures who live on one planet and play with simple ships. They are nothing. He gave the order to attack. The first missiles flew toward the Hope's Light. Commander Yuna watched them come. She was not afraid. She had already won. In a way, her message was flying toward Earth at faster than light speed. In 3 days, humanity would know. In 3 weeks, human ships would come. In 3 months, the Veloxi would understand their mistake. All hands, Yuna said calmly. Brace for impact. The missiles hit. The ship shook. Alarms screamed. But the Hope's Light did not die. The colonists had built their ship to survive asteroid impacts. It was tough and stubborn, like the humans inside it. Damage report, Yuna said. Hull breach in Section 7. Engines at 60%. Shields holding. Yuna smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of a woman who had decided to hurt her enemies as much as possible before she died. Sumi, those mining lasers I asked about, can we fire them at the enemy ships? They are not designed for combat, Commander. But yes, they could damage unshielded areas. Target their sensor arrays. If we are going to die, we are going to blind them first. The mining lasers fired. They were weak compared to real weapons, but Sumi aimed them perfectly. On the Veloxi flagship, 3 sensor pods exploded. Drex roared with anger. They are fighting back? With mining tools? Destroy them now. But before his ships could fire again, something happened. A light appeared in space. Then another. Then 100 more. Human military ships dropped out of hyperspace, their weapons already charged and ready. Admiral Kang had received the distress call. He had come with everything he had. The war had begun. The news of the Hope's Light spread across human space like fire. Every colony, every station, every ship heard the story. A simple colony ship had refused to surrender to the mighty Veloxi Empire. Commander Yuna had looked at death and said no. Admiral Kang had arrived just in time to save the colonists, but the battle that followed was bloody. 2 human ships were destroyed. 300 soldiers died, but they killed 2 Veloxi warships and rescued every single colonist. The Veloxi High Council was not worried. They had lost ships before. They had lost battles before. Humans were small and weak. The Empire would crush them and take their worlds. 2 weeks later, the Veloxi attacked New Sol, the largest human colony outside Earth's solar system. They sent 50 warships. They expected easy victory. They thought humans would run away or beg for mercy. They were wrong. Captain Tejo was 32 years old. He had been a miner before he joined the military. He had spent 10 years flying small ships through asteroid fields, cutting rocks into pieces for their metal. He was not a great tactician. He was not a famous commander. He was just a man who understood how to use the tools around him. When the Veloxi fleet appeared above New Sol, Tejo was in command of the orbital defense station. He had 3 military ships under his control. 3 ships against 50. Captain, his officer said. They are demanding our surrender. They say they will destroy the colony if we resist. Tejo looked at the planet below. 50 million people lived there. Families, children, old people who had come here to retire, young people who had come here to start businesses. If he surrendered, they would all become slaves. If he fought, many would die in the battle. He thought about Commander Yuna. She had faced the same choice. She had chosen to fight. Tell them no, Tejo said. Tell them to go away, or we will destroy them. His officers stared at him. They thought he was crazy. 3 ships against 50 was not a battle. It was suicide. But Tejo was already thinking. He was looking at the asteroid field that circled New Sol. Millions of rocks, some as small as houses, some as big as mountains. He had spent years in fields just like this one. He knew them better than anyone. Send orders to all mining vessels, Tejo said. Tell them to gather at point 727 and get me a line to the colony's industrial center. I need to talk to the factory managers. Captain, the Veloxi are moving toward us. We have maybe 2 hours before they reach weapons range. That is enough time, Tejo said. For the next 2 hours, Tejo worked faster than he had ever worked in his life. He called every mining ship he could reach. He talked to factory workers and engineers. He gave orders that made no sense to his officers. Move this asteroid here. Attach mining charges to that rock. Program this drone to fly in this pattern. When the Veloxi fleet finally arrived at weapons range, they saw 3 tiny human warships waiting for them. Behind the ships was the orbital station. Behind that was the planet. It looked like an easy target. High Commander Vex, the leader of the fleet, smiled with his sharp teeth. Destroy them, he ordered. Then we will take the colony. The Veloxi ships fired. Their missiles flew toward the human ships. But Tejo was ready. Now, he said calmly, the asteroid field came alive. Mining drones, usually used to break apart rocks for their metal, flew straight at the Veloxi missiles. They were not weapons. They were not designed for war, but each one carried mining charges powerful enough to crack mountains. When they hit the missiles, they exploded together in massive fireballs. The Veloxi were confused. Their missiles were gone. Before they could fire again, something else happened. The asteroids began to move. Tejo had spent 2 hours attaching engines to the biggest rocks in the field. Now he fired those engines. 50 asteroids, each one bigger than a Veloxi warship, flew toward the enemy fleet. What is this? Vex shouted. Shoot them down. Destroy the rocks. The Veloxi fired at the asteroids. But rocks do not care about weapons. Missiles exploded on their surfaces and left small craters. Lasers burned their outsides but did not stop them. The asteroids kept coming. 3 Veloxi ships were hit. They crumpled like paper under the weight of the rocks. 2 more ships crashed into each other while trying to avoid the asteroids. Explosions lit up the darkness of space, but Tejo was not finished. While the Veloxi were distracted by the asteroids, he had been moving his 3 ships around the edge of the battle. Now they were behind the enemy fleet. Fire everything, Tejo said. The human ships attacked from behind. Their missiles hit Veloxi engines. Their lasers cut through Veloxi shields. The enemy had been looking the wrong way. They were not ready. In 30 minutes, Tejo destroyed 15 Veloxi warships. He did it with 3 small ships, a handful of mining drones, and some very large rocks. High Commander Vex could not believe what was happening. His fleet was dying. The humans were not supposed to be able to do this. They were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to surrender. Retreat, Vex finally shouted. All ships, retreat. The Veloxi ran away. They left their dead behind. They left their broken ships floating in the asteroid field. They ran. And they did not stop running until they were far from human space. Tejo watched them go. He was tired. He was shaking. He had not really believed his plan would work. But it had worked. New Sol was safe. Captain, his officer said, and there were tears in her eyes. You just defeated 50 warships with 3. Not with 3, Tejo said. With 3 ships, a lot of rocks, and something the Veloxi do not understand. What is that, Captain? Tejo smiled. Humans spent thousands of years killing each other. We are very, very good at war. The Veloxi never had to fight anyone strong. They conquered weak species and thought they were mighty. But they have never fought a species that enjoys finding new ways to kill. Across human space, people watched recordings of the battle. They saw Tejo's crazy plan. They saw asteroids crashing into enemy ships. They saw the Veloxi running away. And something changed in the hearts of humanity. For centuries, humans had focused on peace. They had built colonies instead of warships. They had traded with aliens instead of fighting them. Many species thought this meant humans were soft. They thought humans had forgotten how to be dangerous. They were wrong. Humans had not forgotten. They had just been waiting. On Earth, the government met to discuss the war. They looked at the numbers. The Veloxi had 10,000 warships. Humans had 300. The Veloxi controlled 12 star systems. Humans controlled 1. By every measure, humans should lose this war. We need to call Admiral Hana, one general said. The others were quiet. Admiral Hana had retired 20 years ago. She had ended the pirate wars. She had destroyed the Crimson Fleet. She was the greatest military mind humanity had ever produced, but she was old now. She lived alone on a small farm and wanted nothing to do with war. She will not help us, another general said. She said she was done with fighting. She will help, the first general replied. Because she knows what the Veloxi will do to our children if we lose. Send her the recordings from Hope's Light. Send her the recordings from New Soul. She will come. Sighed. 3 days later, Admiral Hana arrived at military headquarters on Earth. She was 73 years old. Her hair was white. Her hands shook slightly, but her eyes were sharp and cold, like the edge of a sword. Show me everything, she said. They showed her the recordings. They showed her the numbers. They showed her the reports about Veloxi strength and Veloxi cruelty. When she finished watching, Admiral Hana nodded slowly. The Veloxi made 2 mistakes, she said. First, they attacked our people. Second, they let some of us survive to tell the story. Now every human in the galaxy is angry. Now every human wants to fight. That is a weapon more powerful than any missile. She stood up and looked at the generals. In 60 days, I will have a fleet ready. In 90 days, we will stop defending. We will start hunting. And in 1 year, the Veloxi will wish they had never heard the word human. The generals believed her. They had no choice. She was Admiral Hana, and she had never lost a war. The hunt was about to begin. Admiral Hana stood in the command center of Earth's largest space station. Around her, hundreds of officers worked at their screens. Data flowed in from every corner of human space. Ship locations, weapon counts, supply lines, factory outputs. She took it all in, organizing the information in her mind, like pieces of a puzzle. How many ships can we build in 60 days? She asked. General Bong, her second in command, checked his data. If we push every factory to maximum output, we can build 200 new warships. But they will be small. Fast attack ships, not battleships. That is fine, Hana said. We do not need battleships. The Veloxi fight in formation, like armies from old history books. They line up their ships and fire together. We will not do that. We will fight like wolves, not like soldiers. She turned to another officer. What about weapons? We have been developing new missile systems for years, the officer said. They were considered too expensive for peacetime use. But they are ready. Good. The officer hesitated. There is one project that was cancelled 10 years ago. It was considered too dangerous, too cruel. It is called the Silent Fire. Hana looked at him with her cold eyes. Tell me about it. It is a biological weapon. A virus that attacks specific genetic codes. We could design it to target Veloxi DNA. It would spread through their ships, their stations, their planets. They would die within hours. No cure. No defense. The command center became very quiet. Everyone was looking at Hana. Using biological weapons was against every law and treaty in the galaxy. No species had used such weapons in 1,000 years. Hana thought for a long moment. Then she shook her head. No, we will not use it. Not unless they force us to. We are fighting to protect our people, not to commit genocide, but keep the project ready. If the Veloxi use weapons like that against us, we will respond in kind. She moved on, giving more orders, making more plans. But word of her decision spread through the station. Admiral Hana had a weapon that could destroy the entire Veloxi species. She chose not to use it. This made the soldiers respect her more. She was not just a killer. She was a leader with principles. 2 weeks later, Hana traveled to the outer colonies. She wanted to see Captain Tejo, the man who had defended New Sol with mining drones and asteroids. She found him in a small hospital, recovering from injuries he had received in the battle. "Captain," she said, sitting beside his bed, "your battle was brilliant, stupid, and dangerous, but brilliant." Tejo smiled weakly. "Thank you, Admiral. I did not really think it would work. That is what made it work. The Veloxi have been fighting for 10,000 years. They have seen every normal tactic, but they have never seen someone use mining equipment as weapons. You surprised them." She leaned closer. "I need more surprises, Captain. When you are healed, I want you on my staff. I need people who think differently." Calm said. "Now, I am not a military genius, Admiral. I am just a miner. That is exactly what I need. Miners, farmers, engineers, people who solve problems without expensive weapons. The Veloxi have more ships than us. They have bigger guns, but they are not creative. They fight the same way they have always fought. We will win this war with ideas, not just missiles." In other parts of the galaxy, other species were watching the human Veloxi war with great interest. The Korath Council, a group of peaceful aliens who had been hiding from the Veloxi for centuries, gathered to discuss what they were seeing. The humans destroyed 15 warships using rocks. One council member said, "Rocks. We have been running from the Veloxi for 500 years, and these humans are fighting them with rocks. They are crazy," another member said, "and they will lose. The Veloxi have too many ships." "Maybe," said the oldest council member, "but I remember stories from long ago. Before the Veloxi rose to power, there were other humans in this region of space. Ancient humans, from a colony ship that arrived 30,000 years ago. They were wild and violent. They fought with anyone who threatened them. The other species called them many names, but one name was most common. They called humans the Merciless ones. Those are just stories. Are they? Look at what these new humans are doing. They did not run when the Veloxi attacked. They did not beg for peace. They said no, and they started fighting. Maybe the old stories are true. Maybe humans really are merciless when someone threatens their families." On the Veloxi homeworld, the High Council was having a very different conversation. They were angry. They had lost ships. They had lost soldiers. Humans were supposed to be easy prey. How did this happen? The Supreme Leader demanded. "We sent 50 ships to New Sol. Only 30 came back. Against 3 human defenders. 3! High Commander Vex knelt before the council. He was ashamed. "The humans used strange tactics, Supreme Leader. They attacked with asteroids and mining drones. We were not prepared for such primitive methods." "Then prepare, adapt, find new ways to kill them," another council member spoke. "Perhaps we should make peace. The humans are small, but they fight hard. The cost of conquering them may be higher than the reward." The Supreme Leader turned on him with fury. "Peace? The Veloxi Empire does not make peace with inferior species. We conquer or we destroy. There is no other option. If we show weakness now, every slave world will rebel. Every conquered species will think they can fight us too." He stood and spread his 4 arms wide. "We will send 1,000 ships. We will burn every human colony. We will kill every human soldier. We will take their children as slaves, and their women as servants. The galaxy will remember what happens when you fight the Veloxi. Back on Earth, Admiral Hana received reports about the Veloxi response. 1,000 ships were gathering. The largest fleet the Empire had assembled in centuries. They would attack in 40 days. We cannot match those numbers, General Bong said. Even with our new ships, we will have less than 500. Then we will not fight them ship to ship, Hana said. We will use the humans' greatest weapon. What weapon is that, Admiral? Hana smiled, and it was not a pleasant smile. Hate, fear, anger. Every human who lost someone in this war wants revenge. Every parent whose child was threatened wants blood. The Veloxi think they are fighting a military. They are wrong. They are fighting a species. She pressed a button on her console. Her face appeared on screens across human space. Every colony, every ship, every station saw her. People of Earth and all human worlds, she said. The Veloxi are coming. 1,000 warships. They want to destroy us. They want to enslave our children. They think we are weak. They think we will give up. She paused. They are wrong. I am calling for volunteers. Not soldiers, anyone. Miners who can fly drones. Engineers who can modify ships. Doctors who can treat wounds. Factory workers who can build weapons. Every human who can help, I need you. Not because I order you, because your children need you. Across human space, people listened. Then they stood up. Millions of them. Miners and teachers and doctors and factory workers. Old people and young people. Men and women. They all volunteered. In 3 days, Admiral Hana had more volunteers than she could use. Humans were coming from every colony, every station, every ship. They were angry. They were scared, but most of all, they were united. The Veloxi had made the worst mistake possible. They had given humanity a common enemy. They had made humans remember what they were capable of when their families were threatened. The awakening was complete. The hunt was about to begin. Lieutenant Do Yun had never wanted to be a soldier. She had grown up on a farming colony, helping her parents grow rice in artificial fields. She had been good with machines, fixing broken harvesters and programming irrigation drones. When the war started, she had volunteered like everyone else. She thought she would work in a factory, building weapons. Instead, Admiral Hana had chosen her for something different. You understand small machines, Hana had said during their meeting. Drones. Robots. Things that move and think without human pilots. I need someone who can turn those skills into weapons. Now Du Yun stood in the briefing room of a hidden military base, looking at a map of Veloxi space. 12 star systems, hundreds of planets, thousands of stations. It seemed impossible to attack such a large empire. We are not attacking everything, Hana explained. We are attacking their weak points. Supply stations, communication hubs, fuel depots. Cut those, and their fleet becomes blind and hungry. How do we get past their defenses? Du Yun asked. We do not fight their defenses. We go around them. Small ships, small teams. You will lead the first strike team. 50 people. 10 ships. Your target is the Veloxi supply station at the edge of their empire. Destroy it. And their ships cannot refuel for their attack on Earth. Du Yun studied the map. The station was deep in enemy territory. Getting there would be dangerous. Getting out would be nearly impossible. When do we leave? She asked. Tomorrow. 20 hours later, Do Yun's team dropped out of hyperspace near the Veloxi supply station. It was huge. Bigger than a small moon. Floating in the darkness between stars, hundreds of Veloxi ships surrounded it, waiting for fuel. That is a lot of ships. Her pilot, a man named Sung Ho, said quietly. We are not here to fight ships, Du Yun replied. We are here to deliver a package. She looked at the cargo in the back of their ship. 50 small drones, each one no bigger than a human hand. Each one carrying enough explosives to destroy a building. She had programmed them herself, teaching them to fly through small spaces, to hide in shadows, to find their targets without being seen. "Take us in close," she ordered. "Then launch the drones." Sung-Ho flew the small ship through the gaps between Veloxi warships. They moved slowly, carefully, trying to look like space debris. The Veloxi sensors did not notice them. Why would they? They were looking for warships, not tiny objects floating in the dark. When they were close enough, Do-Yoon released the drones. 50 little machines flew toward the station, spreading out, finding different entry points. Air vents, waste ports, maintenance hatches. They were too small to trigger alarms. Do-Yoon watched through the drone cameras as they moved through the station, past sleeping soldiers, past working engineers, past storage rooms filled with fuel and food. The drones did not stop. They kept going, deeper and deeper, until they reached the center of the station, the main reactor. "Everyone out," Do-Yoon ordered her team. "We have 3 minutes." Her ships turned and ran. Behind them, the drones attached themselves to the reactor core. They waited, counting down together. Their simple minds focused on one task. The explosion was beautiful and terrible. The reactor went first, releasing energy like a small sun. Then the fuel storage caught fire. Then the food storage. Then everything else. The station broke apart in a chain of explosions that lit up the darkness for millions of kilometers. 20 Veloxi ships that were docked at the station died instantly. 50 more were damaged by debris. And most importantly, all the fuel that was supposed to power the attack on Earth was gone. "Mission complete," Do-Yoon said. Her voice was calm, but her hands were shaking. Back on the Veloxi homeworld, the Supreme Leader received the news of the attack. He was furious. He ordered his commanders to find the humans who had done this. He ordered more ships to guard other stations. But it was already too late. Do-Yoon's attack was only the first. Across Veloxi space, other human teams were striking other targets. Communication satellites that helped ships talk to each other. Sensor stations that watched for enemies. Small military bases that housed soldiers. Factories that built weapons. Every day, something exploded. Every day, the Veloxi lost something valuable. Admiral Hana watched the reports with satisfaction. Her plan was working. The Veloxi were used to fighting defensive enemies. They were used to big battles where they could use their superior numbers. They did not know how to fight an enemy who hid in shadows and struck without warning. "They are starting to panic," General Bong reported. "Their ships are spreading out, trying to protect everything. That makes each target weaker." "Good," Hana said. "Now we move to Phase 2. Phase 2 was even more cruel." Hana sent messages to every species the Veloxi had conquered. Every slave world. Every defeated empire. She told them what was happening. She told them the Veloxi were losing. She offered them weapons. "If you want freedom," the message said, "now is the time to fight. The Veloxi are bleeding. Help us finish them." Some species were too afraid to respond. They had been slaves for too long. They had forgotten how to hope. But others remembered their freedom. Others still had anger in their hearts. On the slave world of Keleth Prime, workers began to sabotage factories. On the mining colony of Dark Rock, prisoners attacked their guards. On a dozen worlds across the Empire, small rebellions began. Each one was weak by itself, but together, they forced the Veloxi to split their attention even more. High Commander Vex was sent to crush the rebellion on Keleth Prime. He took 50 ships from the fleet that was supposed to attack Earth. Another commander took 30 ships to Dark Rock. Another took 20 to somewhere else. By the time the Veloxi realized what was happening, their 1,000-ship fleet had become a 500-ship fleet. They were strong enough to defend their empire, but not strong enough to attack Earth. Lieutenant Do-Yoon led her team on 7 more missions. She destroyed a communication hub that controlled half the Empire's message network. She killed a Veloxi general by sending a drone into his bedroom while he slept. She blew up a weapons factory that had taken 50 years to build. Each mission was more dangerous than the last. She lost people, friends, good soldiers who had trusted her. But she kept going, because every mission brought the end of the war closer. On her 8th mission, Do-Yun's luck ran out. The Veloxi had learned to look for small ships. They had upgraded their sensors. When Do-Yun's team arrived at their target, a fuel depot near the Veloxi homeworld, they flew into a trap. "Enemy ships on all sides," Sung-Ho shouted. "We are surrounded." Do-Yun looked at the tactical display. 20 Veloxi ships were closing in. There was no way out. No clever trick to save them. "Launch the drones," she ordered. "Target the depot. We did not come here to escape. We came here to hurt them." The drones flew. The fuel depot exploded. But the Veloxi ships were already firing. Their missiles reaching for Do-Yun's team. Sung-Ho took her hand. "It was an honor, Lieutenant. The honor was mine." The missiles hit. Do-Yun's ship broke apart. Fire and darkness consumed everything, but her mission was complete. The fuel depot was destroyed. The Veloxi fleet could not refuel. They could not reach Earth at full strength. When Admiral Hana received news of Do-Yun's death, she stood in silence for a long moment. Then she turned to her officers. "Remember her name. Remember all their names. They died so that Earth could live. We will not waste their sacrifice." She looked at the strategic map. The Veloxi fleet was weak and scattered. Their supply lines were broken. Their communication network was damaged. Their slave worlds were rebelling. It was time to end this war. "Send orders to all commands," Hana said. "We stop hunting. We start the final attack. In 3 days, we move on the Veloxi homeworld." The hunt was over. The reckoning was about to begin. The Veloxi homeworld had never been attacked. For 10,000 years, it had been safe behind fleets of warships and rings of defense stations. The Veloxi people had grown comfortable there, believing they were untouchable. They had conquered 12 star systems. They had destroyed entire species. They thought they were the masters of the galaxy. Admiral Hana looked at the planet through the window of her flagship. It was beautiful. In its way. Blue oceans and green continents. Just like Earth. Millions of Veloxi lived there. Families, children. Innocent people who had never hurt anyone. "Admiral," General Bong said quietly, "the fleet is in position. We are ready to attack." Hana nodded. She had brought 400 human ships. It was everything humanity had. Back on Earth and the colonies, there was almost no protection left. If this attack failed, humanity would be defenseless. But Hana did not plan to fail. "Before we attack," she said, "I want to send a message." She recorded her words carefully, then sent them to the planet below. "People of the Veloxi Empire. I am Admiral Hana of the human fleet. Your warships attacked our peaceful colony ships. Your soldiers tried to enslave our children. Your leaders declared war on a species that wanted nothing but peace. Now we are here, above your homeworld, with weapons that can destroy everything you have built." She paused, letting the words sink in. "But we are not monsters. We do not want to kill innocent people. We want this war to end, so I am giving you one chance. Surrender your military, free all your slaves, punish your leaders for their crimes. Do this, and we will leave in peace. Refuse, and we will show you why the galaxy once called humans the Merciless ones." The message ended. Hana waited for a response. On the planet below, the supreme leader of the Veloxi Empire watched the human message with rage in his eyes. Surrender? Free the slaves? The Veloxi Empire did not surrender. The Veloxi Empire did not free anyone. He would rather see his world burn than accept such shame. "All defensive stations, fire on the human fleet," he ordered. "All military ships. Attack. Destroy them all." The battle began. Orbital defense stations opened fire with massive cannons. Hundreds of missiles flew toward the human fleet. The few remaining Veloxi warships, maybe 200 in total, charged forward in a desperate attack. Admiral Hana did not flinch. "Defensive pattern 7, she ordered. "Let them come to us." The human fleet spread out, each ship finding space to move. They had practiced this formation 1,000 times. They knew where to be. when to fire, how to support each other. The Veloxi came at them in a wall of metal and fire, but the wall broke against human discipline. Captain Tejo, now commanding his own ship, led a wing of fast attack vessels around the side of the Veloxi formation. He hit them from angles they did not expect, destroying engines and weapons before pulling back. Mining drone tactics on a massive scale. Other human ships targeted the orbital defense stations. Each station was powerful, but slow and unable to move. Human missiles, designed by engineers who understood the Veloxi weaknesses, punched through their shields and broke them apart. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Veloxi defenses were gone. Their remaining ships were floating wreckage. Their orbital stations were burning metal, falling toward the planet. The Supreme Leader watched his empire die from his palace window. He could not believe what was happening. The Veloxi had ruled for 10,000 years. They had never lost. They had never fallen. Supreme Leader, one of his advisors said, "The humans are landing troops. They are coming. Then we will fight them on the ground," the Supreme Leader said. "We will kill them in our streets." But when the human soldiers arrived, they found that most Veloxi did not want to fight. The common people, the ones who had never wanted this war, welcomed the humans as liberators. Only the military and the government resisted. Commander Yuna walked through the streets of the capital city. She had recovered from the attack on her colony ship and had asked to be part of the final assault. Admiral Hana had agreed. It was fitting that the woman who had started this by saying no should be there when it ended. Yuna's soldiers moved through the city carefully, not hurting anyone who did not fight back. They freed slaves from basement prisons. They gave food to hungry children. They showed the Veloxi people that humans were not the monsters their government had described. "Commander," one of her soldiers reported, "we have found the palace. The Supreme Leader is inside with his council." "Commander," Yuna led her team to the palace gates. The guards there threw down their weapons and ran. Inside, she found long hallways decorated with gold and jewels taken from conquered worlds. She found rooms filled with treasures stolen from dead civilizations. She found prisons where slaves had been kept for entertainment. Finally, she found the throne room. The Supreme Leader sat on his throne, surrounded by his council. They were the most powerful beings in the empire. They had ordered the deaths of billions. They had built an empire on slavery and conquest. Now they were old and scared, watching a small human woman walk toward them. "I am Commander Yuna," she said. "You attacked my ship. You tried to enslave my people. You declared war on humanity." The Supreme Leader tried to look proud. "And what will you do now, human? Kill us? Enslave us? Take our throne for yourself?" Yuna shook her head. "No. We are not like you. We do not take slaves. We do not keep trophies. We only do what is necessary." She turned to her soldiers. "Take them. They will stand trial for their crimes. Every death they ordered, every slave they took, every world they destroyed. The galaxy will judge them." The council was taken away in chains. They would spend the rest of their lives in prison, living reminders of what happened to those who threatened humanity. But the Supreme Leader was not finished. As soldiers reached for him, he pulled a weapon from his robes and pointed it at Yuna. His eyes were wild with hatred. "I will not be taken by animals," he hissed. "I will not be judged by insects. I am the Supreme Leader of the Veloxi Empire. I have destroyed civilizations. I have killed billions. I will not bow to you." Yuna did not move. She looked at the weapon, then at the face of the being who had caused so much pain. She felt no fear. She felt no anger. She only felt tired. "You wanted war," she said quietly. "We gave you extinction." The Supreme Leader fired. But before his weapon could discharge, a human soldier shot him from across the room. He fell, the last ruler of the Veloxi Empire, dead on the floor of his own throne room. Yuna looked at his body for a long moment. Then she turned and walked away. Outside, The sun was setting over the Veloxi capital. Human ships hung in the sky, their weapons silent. The war was over. The empire that had ruled 12 star systems was finished. Their military was destroyed. Their leaders were dead or captured. Their slaves were being freed across a dozen worlds. Admiral Hana stood in the central square, surrounded by humans and Veloxi and members of other species who had come to see this moment. She made one final broadcast. People of the galaxy, the Veloxi Empire is no more. Their slaves are free. Their threat is ended. Humanity did not want this war. We wanted to live in peace, to build homes on new worlds, to raise our children under different stars. But when the Veloxi attacked us, we had no choice but to fight. She looked at the sky, at the stars that humans had traveled so far to reach. Let this be a lesson to anyone who thinks humanity is weak. We are not warriors by nature. We are farmers and builders and dreamers. But when you threaten our families, when you attack our children, we become something else. We become the merciless ones. And we never, ever stop until the threat is gone. Commander Yuna stood beside her, watching the sunset. She thought about her daughter back on Earth, who had given birth during the war. She had a grandson now. A new life in a galaxy that was finally safe. Was it worth it? Yuna asked quietly. All the death? All the pain? Hana thought for a long moment before answering. Ask me in 100 years. Ask me when human children are playing on worlds that used to be slave camps. Ask me when the species the Veloxi conquered are rebuilding their civilizations. Then I will tell you if it was worth it. Yuna nodded. That was a good answer, the only honest answer. The sun finished setting. Darkness fell over the Veloxi capital. But in that darkness, for the first time in 10,000 years, the stars looked like hope instead of fear. The war was over. Humanity had won, and the galaxy would never forget what happened when someone declared war on the merciless ones.